This second video takes you through my recommended reapplication of product, restructuring the nail without having to rebuild the whole nail again. The ultimate goal is only to reapply what your preparation work has removed. This style of applying product will maintain the natural strength that a thin enhancement requires, as opposed to the structure of a sculptured new nail. Now that our preparation is complete, we're going to go into our application process. The first product that we're going to introduce to you in our Nail Basic line is called Bondage. Bondage is your bonding protein. It will enhance the keratin structure of your natural nail and attract to the polymer of the chemistry of our gel. This gives us a Velcro-like fusion. It is a primer, but it is acid-free. We apply it in a nice even coat over the whole nail surface that we prepared, not just the natural nail. We use a small brush called a bondage brush to apply this. We want to apply it very sparingly to a very, very well cleansed nail. When we look at our cleansed nail, we can see that there's no debris, no residue left behind on the nail. If we put dust and debris from our prep nail into our bondage product, it's going to solidify in the bottle. So if you're using the Nail Basics line, do remember this about bondage. We dip our brush and take one full brush load per nail, brushing our product into the middle and then to the cuticle line. This product is non-reactive to the tissue. However, let's pretend that it can irritate the skin and keep it completely away from the skin. This is because we want to do this detailed application is why we choose to use our nice small fine brush for our application. We apply 2 to 3 coats of bondage. For problem nails, you may want to take up to 5 coats of bondage to the nail. It will not dry. It simply needs to set for about 30 seconds prior to your gel application. Our first gel that we're going to go into now is called First and Last. First and Last is our bonding gel and our finishing gel. I work with 2 pots of First and Last. I keep one pot up on my light unit to keep it warm, and a second pot I keep at room temperature. This is my first layer. It is my bonding layer. Now with that said, let's go into our application. The way that you pick your gel up becomes very important. You want complete control in your application, so your gel needs to be controlled on your brush. I like to recommend that you just place the tip of your brush in the gel, pull it towards you, and lift. Empty side of the brush to the ceiling. Notice there's a little string. Break it on the edge of your container and bring it back in. And you've got your bead set on the tip of your brush, one side clean and empty, one side ready for controlled application. We go to the nail bed, brush that bead through the center of the nail plate, just like you were putting on a polish. Very carefully. Notice that my brush is not fanning out. We're not getting this, no dead weight. Our brush is simply working on the surface with a light pressure. I've left a small space all the way around that edge, the growth channel, the cuticle line, and the corners. Now we're going to go into what we call our pillowing technique. We're going to place a small amount of pressure on that bead. See how as I gently press, it pops out all the way around the tip. This is called a pillow. I'm going to lightly press the edge of that pillow until I see it come as close to the skin as I can without touching. Press it and then lift and release. Press it, lift, and then release. See it move into the cuticle corner. Notice so that I'm not pressing my brush dead into it. It's not squishing it out. It's just guiding that rounded edge right up along the growth channel. As I move along to the side of the nail, that bead came out the side of my brush. Now I'm going to go back to the center. Again, press. I'm pushing into the cuticle corner with the corner of my bristles. I'm coming up the growth channel with the side of my bristles. What I'm doing with the pillowing technique is creating what we call a surface tension control. So I'm putting, in essence, a small dam of control all the way around my application so I can get a fullness of gel without it running away on me. This is the only gel that I'm going to apply in that regrowth position. My nail fill is done as far as the regrowth goes. Now I'll restructure into the rest of the nail. So demonstration of that again is pick your bead up. Before you move on to your thumb, look back at these nails. Make sure your pillows are not moving. While you're developing this technique and this skill, they could flood out on you. If you use a little bit too much product, if you use a little bit too much pressure, they could move. So you may want to place these in the light at this stage and freeze them. If that is your choice, take a nail wipe first with some after wipe on it. Gently wipe your brush clean. Now we're going to take the tip of our brush and just wipe away our first and last that we placed in the smile line. The reason for this is those sharp, crisp smile lines that we want. Remember in our preparation, we talked about cloudy smile lines. Well, you know what? With our first and last, we just put that layer of clear right back where we took it off. So take a moment and wipe that product out of there before you put them in the light to freeze them. Just for about 10 seconds. This is to freeze the product so that it will hold its position until you get that pillowing so that it stays right where you want it. Now that we've done a freeze on the forefingers, we can go to the thumb. And we don't have to worry about these fingers moving or the gel moving at all by taking them into an off position. So again, pick your bead up. Brush it through the middle first, just like polish, just like you're putting a coat of polish on. Don't get too picky. Go back, pick your bead up, press your pillow in. Very light press, lift, press, release, press, release, press, release. Now look at how that pillow works around the corner of my brush when I get to the corner of the cuticle. As I come up the side of the nail, I'm going to use the side of my brush to manipulate that bead up the side of the nail. Into the center, pillow it out. Use the corner of your brush at the corner of the cuticle. Turn that client's finger towards you. Use the edge of the brush to bring the pillow up the side of the nail. Hopefully you can see the shine of the gel, and the fullness of the shine will show you your thickness and your depth. Now we're going to wipe away that clear deposit that we placed in our tucks and along our smile line. Use the tip to brush to the middle, and use the tip in the tuck and brush it out to the middle. So your smile line position is free and clear of any thickness of gel, so that when we put our white in, that's all we get in there is white gel. And we're going to freeze the thumb. This time though, I'm going to ask you to put your thumb in the light in a flat position so that there isn't any risk of running. So now into the light with the flat thumb. Now at this point, our first and last is all in place. It's frozen, so it's not going to run, it's not going to move. Let's just take a look at both hands with our application. Notice again, it's perfectly clean and even. There is absolutely nothing touching the skin. Imperative with this thin application at the cuticle line, knowing that this is the gel that creates the fill, this will deliver that nice flush regrowth that we have when you come back for a fill. So we don't have a big ridge here. No need to over apply in this area. This is where we need the least amount of product. And we're going now to a component in our line called Snow. Snow is our beautiful crisp white gel. It is the whitest of whites. It is also not self-leveling, which does make it a little bit challenging. The technique will give you the way to work with it though. Now our Snow is our nail fill gel. We don't recommend you use Snow to do new nails with. It is a softer gel. It's like working with a whipped cream. It's very light and fluffy and soft. It delivers a beautiful French manicure nail fill process. When we're working for new nails, we use French. Now, we're not doing new nails today, but we do have an issue with one little free edge here that we have to recreate. Snow will not cure when it's applied to a nail form. So we do have to lay what we call a foundation, a curing foundation. We're going to take out a nail form for this, and we're going to extend that corner back in. And turn those tails back just a bit. Let's pop that form into position. And we're going to rebuild the corner. We pick up a very small bead, cut the tail, and I mean small, because all I want to do is rebuild the corner of this natural nail and block the shine of the form so that my snow will cure properly. We just extend that natural nail with our French, just like it was growing there. So really all I'm doing is growing back the piece of nail that was missing. Once we've placed that free edge back into its full form, now I'm going to freeze it so it doesn't run, and it allows me to build my snow on top of it. So back into the light for a few seconds. Now we'll go into our snow application. Again, I pick up my bead of gel with the tip of my brush. The position of your brush and the application of snow is essential that you have a very light touch. We press that bead very gently, just off center. Bring our brush in small circles over top of it, like we're rolling over top of a marble almost. What I'd like you to notice is how my brush turns on its edge as I get into the tuck and the edge of the smile. As I work on the edge of the nail with the edge of my brush, I draw that snow out. And that is my initial bead application, starting that corner of the smile line. If we look at it from the side, you can see some thickness here. I'm going to connect to my thickness and lift my pressure just so I'm barely floating, connected but not in the gel, floating on top with a parallel position. This motion that I'm making now that's extending the gel out is called a tuck and a pull, tuck and a pull. Now I've distributed that bead sufficiently. I've got half of that free edge created. I'll go back, pick up another small bead, break the tail, bring my bead back. I'm going to press again where I left off to connect and lift my pressure. Notice I'm up and away from my gel. Now I'm going into a circular motion that moves the gel across the nail. What I'd like you to notice at the same time is how my brush is parallel to that curved surface. Now I want to lengthen with a tuck and a pull. Moving across. Look at how my brush gets to the edge before my gel. I'm not pushing my gel like that. I'm pulling it with a light, even motion. On the edge, to create the edge, tuck into the tuck of the smile line, draw it right out the edge, return to the surface with the tuck and the pull to smooth it in. And voila, we have our application. Smile line is not even. I didn't try for even. Remember all that removal I did in here? I didn't have an edge of gel to follow. Over here I had a bit of one. So now I'm going to wipe my smile line in. In a demo, I'm going to wipe one at a time as I go. One of the advantages of snow, though, to keep in mind is it doesn't move. Look at this. It's not running. It's not moving. So I can truly move across all 5 nails without having to wipe my smile line. For wiping, I do hold the finger from underneath to move my hand out of position. To wipe my smile line, I start in the middle of the smile line with the corner of my brush. I'm going to start right there. Wipe away from myself. As I get down into the tuck, I twist my brush slightly to create a nice tuck in the smile. To do the other side, I'm going to take my brush and turn it. Start in the same position, wipe away. Look at how I twist my brush as I get into the corner of the nail. So that brings that tuck nice and even. I like to wipe from middle to the edges in 2 portions so that I balance that smile line out. And then I can take my brush and clean the edges up if so needed, just very, very carefully, so I get the beautiful application. And because it's not self-leveling, I get to go and do the thumb at the same time. You may find, though, that while you're developing your skill, you might squish everything when you go to do the thumb. So let's wipe these smile lines and freeze them in this case. So I've already wiped the first one. Let's go on the second one again. Using the side of the tip of the brush, I sweep down into the corner, turn the brush over, and make sure you connect to that gel with it and give it a sweep. Now we're going to ask Susan to go into the light and freeze again for about 10 seconds now for the snow. Now watch, we're going to pop this form off. Make sure before you take a form off, it's ready to come off. Don't take it from the arms, because if this isn't cured enough, you're going to take everything off with it. Take your thumbnail and pop it right in here, and that form should release and come away. And then the other edge. Now my other edge isn't ready, and I'm not going to be impatient. We're going to carry on with our procedure to the thumb now. Pick our bead up on its edge and work to the side. Get your brush over on its edge into the tuck, draw it out, go pick up another bead. Connect your beads together, lift your pressure so your brush is truly floating on top of your gel. Remember, the circle motion moves it, the tuck and pull blends it, flattens it, lengthens it. Now, if you get a little bit of shadowing in your application, don't worry about it. Don't try to get this perfect. If you try to go back and fix those shadows at this stage, often you wreck what was right. So just leave those shadows. Get that product, that snow, applied evenly from groove to groove. Get the smile line wiped in. After you've got your smile line wiped in, after you've got your full freeze, then you can go back and detail the shadows. With my chemistry, it won't be a different color. Let's freeze that in place, and you can put the whole hand in the light unit for this freezing. Now we're going to check for shadows, any detail you want to do. If you don't like the look of the nail, as I don't like right here, it's a little shadowy, I'm going to take my bead, just a very, very small one now, place it, lift, and tuck and pull. Tuck and pull is your technique that blends shadows out. The position of the brush creates the shape. And this holds true with whatever application you're doing in nail techniques. I'm going to see if we can pop this form off, as I'm sure it's good now. There we go. Now we can really evaluate. Sometimes the form shows shadows because it's dark. So never think it's shadowy if the form's still on there. If you pop your form off, you can evaluate. Let's take a peek, see if you like what you see. I see a little tiny shadow over here that I'm not that happy with. If it's a little bit thin as well, go back and add a little bit of thickness. Once you get the feel of your product, you won't need to go back and detail. You will have a nice even white. What I'd like you to notice, and I'm sure that you're probably thinking, wow, is that ever thin? Yes, it is. There's no need for your white, your free edges, to be thick. The white is for the look. So do it nice and thin. And in you go to freeze those blending beads in place. And now we're going to go into our next component, which is called flex. So remember that we've already done first and last through that cuticle line. So our fill back here is finished. So now I'm just going to work through the bridge and the supports to accomplish this. We're going to pick our bead up. I like to start by pillowing my support, the side of the nail that I removed, back in again. The very same technique that we used with our first and last. Make sure you pillow nicely over top of the smile line. Now I've got the smile line seam that I'm looking after right in here. So I'm going to take another bead, connect here, lift my pressure, here's my float, and here's my tuck and pull. And tuck and pull that bead across that smile line. Now you can see this starting to build back in again. The essence of doing a nail film maintenance fill is just to replace what you took off, not to rebuild a whole nail again. Take another bead, and I'm going to pillow the support back on the right side of the nail with that exact technique. The placement becomes very important. Notice that where I've pillowed my support back in, it does not extend back down into the cuticle. So your support arms should not go back into the cuticle corner. The position that you see right here is ideal. At this stage, you can go in and freeze your application in place, or you can do as I do and go back, get a little blending bead, and I'm just going to blend everything in right now. The freezing and then blending is a good practice while you're developing the technique. Once you reach the skilled level, by all means do it all in one. I am going to freeze this now for about 5 seconds so it doesn't run on me. Now let's go through that again. We pick up our bead. Remember, you're only replacing what you took off here. So we're going to go in, pillow in that support that we removed. Look at the pressure of the brush. It's on top. We're pilling over top of the smile line. Now I've got quite a thickness of gel here. I'm going to touch it, lift my pressure. Look at the daylight you can see. So I'm connected, but I'm not in it. And I'm going to tuck and pull to blend this through. Not going down into the cuticle position. There we go. I'm happy with the distribution of that bead now. Pick up another one. I go into the smile line. Lift, tuck and pull. Tuck and pull. Right over top. Look at it from the side as you're working on it. I do most of my reapplication work from the side view. The side view gives me a wonderful visual. I can really see the depth of the gel. Side view is most important. And move on. Now, Flex is very, very thin. It's a very light viscosity gel. So it does tend to want to break loose of your pillows more than what your First and Last does. So the freezing technique is very, very helpful when you're working at controlling your flex. Before you move on to your third or your fourth application, take a peek back at the pre-existing one. Make sure it's all still in place before you move on. This looks good. It's in place. I'm liking what I see, so I can continue working on this nail. And I'm just doing just a little bit of feather blending just at the first and last line into the flex. I'm happy with the movement, the position, so I'm moving on with another bead. Now I am going to go into the light and freeze because I have to go to the thumb. And if I work with the thumb in this position, it's all going to run off to the side. So now I've got all 4 applied. We're going to pop them in the light for that 10 seconds to freeze them. Now we go into our thumb. Watch as I work from the side view how I can see that pillow come in. Look at my angle of my brush move and change as I work over the smile line. The nail shape floats like this, so my brush is going to float like that. There's my support bead. Look at that thickness there. Touch, lift, and a light tuck and pull will blend it in to start creating the body of the nail. Now pick up another small bead, pop it into the smile line, lift the pressure, tuck and pull. Tuck and pull, tuck and pull. Now at this point I lose sight of the other side of the nail. So it's important that I change position now. Pillow in the support on the other side. Don't go down into the cuticle corner. Really rotate that finger towards you so you can see the other side of the nail. Another bead to finish. Now let's count them. How many beads did I use to do this nail with? I think probably 4 or 5. Now we're going to put this thumb in the light in a flat position and freeze it again for 10 seconds. Now let's review product application. Applying 1 thin coat of bondage to the nail. Avoiding contact with any tissue surrounding the nail plate. Allow bondage to set. It will remain tacky and shiny. Apply 1 coat of First and Last over new nail growth and remaining product using the pillowing technique. Take care to avoid the surrounding tissue. With a clean brush, wipe the gel away from the new smile line position. Place the hand under the lights for approximately 20 seconds. Carefully apply snow to the new smile line position. Use the tuck and pull method. Keep the brush level with the nail and maintain contact with the product throughout the application. With a clean brush, wipe the gel away from the new smile line position.
Use the pillowing technique to apply flex to the nail, replacing any portions of the support bridge removed during preparation. Float a bead of flex over the smile line seam, blending the product evenly. Very carefully inspect the nail to make sure the contours are natural and balanced. Place the hand under the light for 2 minutes. Thank you for viewing the product application portion of our video series.
We use a sable brush in our application. Now this brush is an indication of a brush that is old. You can see the little bit of frayed hairs on this edge. So I'm not going to use this brush. I'm going to take this opportunity to show you the difference between an old brush that needs to visit the garbage and a brand new brush, and how you actually prepare your brush to work. It's called seasoning. Take the lid of your gel, upside down, a small bead of your First and Last, and work it into your bristles. When you're working with gel, you want your brush to be tight and clear of any hairs that are shedding away. You can see there's just one little loose guy that didn't quite make it into that crimping process. There, it's gone. You can see my brush is loaded with gel. It's tight, it's firm. Once we've got that gel loaded in there, I'm going to take a nail wipe with our after wipe on it, nice and wet. Just gently fold that nail wipe and pull your brush through. Always leaving some gel in your brush so those bristles stay nice and tight together. Notice my grip again is very tight. I'm almost holding the bristles of my brush to get the kind of control that I need. I am truly choking right up on this brush. I'm not painting pictures here. I am doing detail work. So I must have a very detailed, precise position, which means a tight grip on my brush. Not tight in grip, but tight towards the bristles. Get your few key techniques down. The key techniques with the snow is the circles, the tuck and pull, and moving your brush to the shape that you're creating. I want you to notice as I'm whizzing through this hand how I'm not using a patting motion at all. I only press to create my pressure. Now when you're an acrylic nail technician, this is a difficult adjustment because with acrylic that's something that we do is we pat. With gel we float. We stay flush, we stay parallel. Remember parallel, practice parallel positioning, and you'll have really great success with your application.